make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up.
Welcome back to another episode of Lone Star College Football. We've got some big news today as it is official that Colorado will be heading into the Big 12 in 2024. Now, Logan, I'm going to be honest. As Texas and Oklahoma are transitioning to the SEC next year, my ability to keep up to date with the Big 12 is kind of lacking. You've been the one sending me all the tweets and all the stuff over the last few months. So just walk me through the ups and the downs of whether or not this was actually going to happen, because we had our questions at first. We kept saying the same thing. I'll believe it when I see it. We see it.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
So, like you said, it's been about 2 years, I believe, today. And when y'all are seeing this, it'll be yesterday. The Oklahoma and Texas completely just said they were going. Bye.
We're
I
out.
mean, and at that point, the Big 12 was in shambles completely. And fast forward to this past offseason, all we've been hearing is, oh, Colorado, the Arizonas, Utah. Like, and at first, it's like, okay, that'll be all right. We can do that. And that's
Right.
after bringing in the 4 teams, 3 from the American and then BYU. And now, today, Colorado finally decides, hey, you know what? Maybe all this stuff on Twitter might be adding up to something here. But it's been crazy this summer, just waiting and waiting for the Pac-9 now to finally get their TV deal, and Colorado got fed up with it. And supposedly, according to the same people on Twitter, that there's another mystery school that is probably going to jump ship by the end of next week. Now, we don't really have any hints to who that is, but some people are saying that it could be more than just one. So it could be any of the Arizona schools, could be Utah, could be all 3, or it could be Utah, Oregon, Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love to have Oregon, Washington, Utah, but
That's the only scenario that I can see the Big 12 taking 3 more. Because if you're
see
taking both Arizona's and who was the other, the 4 corners
Utah.
was Utah. You don't turn away Utah, but is there a point in which the Big 12 says, all right, going into 24, we're back to 12 schools, right? So we all know for 2023, the Big 12 will have 14. Texas and OU dips out. They'll be at 12 for 2024. Now they're at 13. So technically, is 16 like the money? That's the sweet spot. You stay at 16. You don't try to go over, but you don't. Is 14 too little? Are we thinking one more, or are you thinking for sure? Because you said there's a supposed other school, but what do you think the probability of just one more versus 3 more is?
I think that one more right now is the highest odds, especially with how all the teams in the ACC are acting.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to hold out on that, because Oregon and Washington, they've already expressed interest in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten wants to hold off for now because they want to be able to pick apart the ACC as just as well as the Big 12 and the SEC. So for us to get 3 schools, that would put us right now with the Big 10 and the SEC, both having 16 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see us going that way, or I could see us just taking Utah or whatever other school wants to come join Colorado and the rest of the Big 12, and then picking up 2 teams from the ACC whenever that all happens, because it's going to happen.
It is going to happen.
Terrible.
And the question is, because in my mind of thinking about how the conferences fit together, like when you look at the ACC, Florida State fits more in with the SEC because of Florida. Clemson can fit better in with the SEC because they've got the Clemson and South Carolina. North Carolina even in the ACC. And then Miami is also in Florida. So you kind of look at these other ACC teams and you think all the good ones seem like they fit in the SEC. So I don't think the Big Ten should be really banking on that over being willing to take a team like Oregon or Washington Because at the same time, if you think about it, if the Pac-12 loses Colorado, well, the Pac-12 is losing Colorado. That's not an if anymore. If they lose Utah as well to the Big 12, and then they bring in some of the schools that have been rumored to maybe be schools to replace, you're looking at, what were they? There was SMU, UNLV, Colorado State, and what was the other one? There's one more.
San Diego State.
And San Diego State. Like, I thought it was rough when the Big 12 decided to bring in UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and BYU. But those 4 schools make the Pac-12's new 4 look, oof, that's bad. That's bad.
See, I think that we went with those because those 4 actually have pretty good markets, believe it or not. Like BYU especially. Houston is going to be a mix of really the bigger schools' fans as far as alumni base, but UCF is going to be mostly them.
Yeah,
like they have
I wouldn't have minded SMU though.
Yeah, I mean,
but at the same time, we
SMU.
have TCU, and they kind of share a lot of area, but at the same time, it's a rivalry game.
Exactly.
I don't know.
But I think the only reason we didn't reach
ahead.
out to them is because they share the DFW. So it's really not adding much as far as.
No, it's really not. As far as like geography, area, it doesn't. But it makes sense to have. I don't know, man. In a year where the SMU and TCU could be in the same conference and maybe play in the season and play in the Big 12 like champ game, I think that'd have been kind of cool. But I think SMU definitely leads the way out of those 4 as far as relevancy. But even then, it's not a great look for a conference, especially if they lost all 4 schools. Say they lose, Utah goes to Big 12, Oregon, Washington goes to Big 10. They replace the 4 schools with these 4 schools. Now you're looking at a conference where it's like, all right, who's the big fish? None of them.
Washington or Oregon State.
Just because you're a bluegill in a pond full of minnows, you're not that big of a fish. Like, you're not big. You might be big compared to your competition, but who would it be? Would it be Arizona State? Washington? Is Washington State?
Arizona State has brought in some decent talent.
They've brought in some talent, but
star-wise, coaching is always going to be a question. But
I don't know. It would be interesting. And then you're looking at Colorado State. That's just such a small kind of school. Like, no.
Man, I saw something today that a Utah fan was trying to say that San Diego State would be an upgrade over Colorado.
No shot.
And the reasoning was completely terrible.
Well, read off those things. Read off those stats about Colorado since the beginning of the Dion era, which we haven't even got to see him coach a game yet, and this is already happening, is insane. Read off those stats real quick.
So, Colorado football went 1-11 last season, as most people watching this video know. But ever since the end of the season, they hired Dion. Their merch sales have gone up 700%. They've grown IG following of 722%. Sold out their spring game. They had the only spring game to be broadcasted on ESPN, not ESPN Plus or any of the other networks that ESPN owns. They've sold out 2 home games already, and they got voted back to the Big 12.
That's wild.
That is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And that's not even including all the high caliber transfers and commitments they got either.
I wonder how the NCAA, like, in any situation, like, say the Big 10 is going to wait to see what the ACC is going to do, and the Big 12 just says, all right, we're clean sweeping the Pac-12. We're going to take Oregon, Washington, Utah, and both Arizonas. Take all 6 teams and Colorado. Even if the Pac-12 finds schools to add, they're just a group of 5 conference. Do we just go to Power 4 and Group 6? How does that work?
I mean, that's what it would be at this point.
Because that's not a conference. Because if the playoffs, a 12-team playoff, it's supposed to be the 4 conference winning highest rated schools have like the first round bye.
Yep.
Whoever's in the Pac-12, unless
At that
their
point,
non-con
wouldn't get
games
in
are
though.
all G5, and there's one school who can, even if they won it, they're getting curb stomped in the first game that they have to play against an actual
1000%.
conference. So it doesn't.
1000%. Because I mean, the only teams that would be left: Stanford, who's probably going to leave to join the Ivy League; Cal, which is going to try to do the same, but probably just get kicked over to the Mountain West with Boise. I mean, Oregon State, Washington State. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but I
Yeah,
think that's the only
Oregon
teams that would
State.
be left.
I will say Oregon State. I think last year had a pretty good season. Let me look them up. I think Oregon State had a pretty good season last year.
I think what was that transfer's name from
And I want to say it
Auburn?
was their defense that carried pretty heavily.
Didn't
Last year.
DJU transfer to Oregon State?
He did. DJ Uiagalelei
I'm not going
is
to try to say
now
that.
an Oregon State. What are they?
Beaver.
Beaver.
Yep.
Beavs.
But
Let's see their football schedule. They were 10-3 last year, man. Yeah. They beat Boise. They beat Fresno. They beat Montana. They lost to USC by 3. That's not bad. They only gave up 17 to a Heisman quarterback. They gave up 42 to Washington or to Utah. I mean, they beat Stanford. They beat Washington State. They curb stomped Colorado. They lost to Washington 24-21. Not a bad loss. Beat Cal. Beat
dang.
Arizona State. They beat Oregon, and they beat Florida 30-3 in their bowl game. So Oregon State 10-3 had a really solid season. So in theory, we still all those teams, and Oregon State could be set prime position
Yeah, they
to
could
run
be.
the Pac-12. That would be a wild thing. I've never really looked at Oregon State as an actual contender for anything, but college football, man,
No,
we
I
love it.
haven't either. I did want to point out that Pete Thamel did retweet the Pac-12's statement from today. I'm not going to read through their whole statement, but
Yeah.
the key piece of it is immediately following the conclusion of our media rights deal, we will embrace expansion opportunities. So they're not even looking at expansion opportunities right now.
And that's,
I mean, they're
I
looking.
think
They
that's
have to
what
be
made
looking, but they're not
that's what
solidifying
made
anything.
the Big 12. We moved on from Bowlesby to Yormark, and the first thing Yormark did, what did he say? We're open for business.
Yep.
And what did
And
the
he is
Pac-12
looking
commissioner say?
west.
What did the Pac-12 commissioner say? Do you remember? I saw this on a
I
video. Apparently, when
not on the top of my head.
Yormark said we're ready for business, the Pac-12 commissioner said, that's funny because we ain't even come to y'all shopping yet. Like they were going to start shopping the Big 12 to take schools out, and now it's the reverse. We're taking the schools.
Yeah.
I keep saying we. You guys, listen. I'm a Texas fan. Once Texas leaves, hey, sick them in the Big 12 all day.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear me say we. That's why. We're still rooting for the Big 12.
George is a clown over there, and he's over here trying to say that they were blindsided by Colorado. There's no way.
No, this has been going on for
shot.
months.
For a
Casuals know
year.
about this. Casual college football fans are like, oh, yeah, we saw this coming 6, 7, 8 months ago.
Exactly. And it's not hard to believe. It's like, they were gone for 11 years, ended up losing like $70 million, and their play on the field dropped tremendously.
Terrible.
How could they
They're
fix
on
that?
the up and up, though. And we can talk about this real quick before we hop off. Just with Dion coming, obviously year one could obviously be rough, but I think Dion could actually make some pretty big moves, and I think we could see a Colorado team in a couple of years if he sticks around. If Colorado is year one 6-6, and then year two 10-2, then he'll probably get another job offer. Whether he stays or not, we don't know. But I could see if he sticks with it that he could actually bring Colorado to be a contender in a way. I don't think I see Colorado going on a dynasty like Bama or what Georgia's doing, but being a contender, I can see it.
I just remembered something crazy that I saw a minute ago. So there's no exit fee to leave the Pac-12 right now.
Because the deal's up next year, right? Is that why?
I think their deal goes through like 2026.
I thought it was 25. I know ours
It
Big
might
12
be.
was 25. Like through the
But
24 season, 25 would be a new one, but I don't know.
all I know is that they don't have the extra money to help bring in any of these other schools, even if they wanted to.
No.
I just
But
remembered
they
that.
don't have to now if there's no exit fee. I mean, so what?
Well, yeah, but the teams that would be coming from the Mountain West or the American, they would have an exit fee more than likely, because we used y'all's to pay the new four.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that, or those three, and then I guess BYU just came over here with nothing.
As an independent, yeah.
Yeah,
Where does Notre Dame end up in all this?
Big
Eventually,
10.
they're joining a conference, right? You think so?
It's Big
Didn't they
10.
join?
Yeah,
But they joined the ACC during COVID year,
and basketball. I think they play with the ACC,
and they joined that. Yeah, they basketball plays
but the
ACC, and
ACC
then they
will be gone
pick up. If
unless
the
they can
ACC picks up a
somehow.
school like Notre Dame, that's a blue
Yeah,
blood. If they pick up a school like
exactly.
Notre Dame,
That's what I was about to
and
say.
they've got
If they can
Notre
pick up
Dame.
them,
They end up with Notre Dame, Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami. Now Miami's they lost to the Aggies last year, dude. Come on, Miami, pick
that
it
made
up.
us feel dumb.
So we'll just have to. There's a lot of wait and see still, but I think there's more moves coming for sure,
Oh
and
yeah.
we'll see how it pans out.
But yeah, y'all make sure to drop in the comments who the next team you think is going to be to jump ship from the Pac-9 now.
Yeah,
Personally, I don't know. I don't know who's gonna be the next team.
yeah.
I got a feeling it's gonna be Arizona. I don't think it's gonna be Arizona State. I want it to be Utah.
I'd rather Arizona State over Arizona.
I would rather have Arizona State too, but Arizona I think is more likely because that's who everybody was saying would be Colorado's travel partner.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We'll see. I mean, I think I would be surprised if we don't know a lot more in the next week.
oh yeah,
But
for sure.
I don't. The fact that they couldn't get a media rights deal before and now they still haven't gotten one. I think the people forget that in order for a media rights deal to go into effect, all the teams have to vote yes. So if there's another team in the back of their mind, like I'm pretty sure we're leaving, they're not going to vote yes. So
No.
it's kind of tough, but sorry, Pac-12. Sorry, not sorry. Actually, thought the Big 12 was going under. Glad it's not, because I'd have never heard the end of it from Logan if Texas and Oklahoma were the reason the Big 12 died. So,
Yeah, you got lucky. You got lucky on
you got
that one.
anything? You got anything else to add on the end of this, or?
Yay, Jesus, Boo Devil. I mean, sick 'em.
Let's go. With that being said, guys, we appreciate y'all rocking with us. Make sure y'all like the video. Leave us a comment. Who's joining the Big 12 after Colorado? If you think nobody, let us know why. Is the Pac-12 going to make it? I don't really think so. And if they do, and not as a Power 5 conference.
No.
If y'all have watched, first of all, if you're watching this video in July, that means you're not a casual college football fan. You're real. You're legit. We appreciate that. Check us out. We haven't put out a ton of content over the last few months, but going into football season, we're going to be rolling like we were last year. 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6 videos a week is what we were putting out. And that's the plan going into this next season. So make sure y'all subscribe so y'all can not miss any of that. With that being said, appreciate y'all. Until next time. Welcome.
Sick 'em.